So I kind of put on this jacket because I wanted to look intellectual. Is it working?
Sure.
Come on, be honest.
I think the real representation of your intellect is through your speech.
Bro, you don't even know what that means.
All right.
You don't even know what that means, bro.
All right.
What? So it's like the end of the year, and all of a sudden you just want to be this intellectual Lewis that says big words and fancy.
You said the big word
sentence
first.
structures.
You.
Like, come on, dude.
Hey.
The people need you to be real.
I'm speaking normally.
Yeah.
If you think that's a lot, then what does that say about you?
You guys like the jacket? I kind of like the jacket. It makes me look intellectual, right, guys? What do you think?
I think it's pretty fuego.
All right, bet. Sweet. Yo, it's the end of the year. He's giving me a compliment. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Oh, Chew. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the In the Fire podcast. We appreciate you guys tuning in, whether you're listening on Spotify, iTunes, or watching us on YouTube. This is officially the last episode for In the Fire of 2023. Don't worry, we'll be back for 2024 because we don't stop out here. We're trying to push the kingdom of God forward, but we thank you. And listen, if you've been a listener from the beginning of 2023, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We cannot continue to do episodes without you. And even more love to the people that signed up for the Patreon. We love you. We launched our Patreon back in March of this year. It was an incredible blessing. We've created a beautiful family and community together where we just do Bible studies, pray, some accountability. It is beautiful. And we have even greater plans for it for 2024 to grow it even more and just like get even closer with you guys. So if you're not signed up for the Patreon, sign up. If you are, we love you. Thank you so much for the support. You guys keep this podcast running alongside with obviously the provision of God. But I am beyond excited for this episode because this is kind of like a 2023 wrapped for us. We're here to, I hope this episode serves as an encouragement for you guys. You know, just if maybe you went through similar situations, or maybe you felt the same way we felt, or you just, God brought you through certain things in this year. We just want to serve this episode as an encouragement for you guys. And so we want to talk about the things that God brought us through, the things that helped change our faith. What was our faith at this year? Like, where were we January to where are we now? Things with relationships, personal stuff, growth. What was 2023 like for us? So I want to ask you, just to kick it off, and it's a heavy question, but I want to ask you. From the Lewis back in January to the Lewis now, do you say this person, Lewis, in this time range, has grown in all aspects of his life?
I feel like I think for, at least for me, like a lot of times, like what I love personally, and I think everyone should love, is learning more about yourself, you know? And I think I think that's a continuous thing that you just grow and you continue to learn your own habits, your own patterns. Like, why do I do this? Why, like, you know, recognizing patterns. And so in terms of like, just, I think recognizing and seeing the things in myself and God kind of showing those things to me, 100% I have changed in the fact that I am aware and am capable to, if it is a negative pattern, to change, you know, because we always say the first step is recognizing something. And I feel like we can sometimes kind of low key recognize it.
Okay.
But maybe not do anything about it, possibly. And I feel like what the main thing it's been for this year has been a lot of recognizing, a lot of just eye-opening things to myself, like just so much of that. And I think that's so beautiful and so amazing because, like, you know, last year I was a certain way. Now I have so much, you know, I'm just so aware of myself and how I act and my actions. And like, I think that's great because if you're aware of what you do, how you do certain things more, that's just called wisdom.
True.
And so that is, at least for me, that's one thing I would say is something that changed.
I mean,
about me.
if you don't mind, like, I'd love to ask, like, what certain patterns did God highlight to you where you were like, wow, this needs to change for sure?
Yeah, I feel like there was a lack of self-control in areas in my life, whether it's with people or myself.
Okay.
And we speak a lot about self-discipline. It's very cliche, self-control, all these things which are good. But I think it's so much more deeper when you see how you really don't have self-control in certain things. You know, like there's like, you know, we talk about self-control with our phones and this, but how about self-control and how you act towards people? You know, how about that kind of self-control? Like, can you really say, like, I'm able to say no when my body wants to do this? You know what I mean? And like that's just like, that's just struggle in general. But to be able to tell yourself no and say, this is an issue and I don't want to do this, even though I might want to do this, that is true self-control. Right? It reminds me of that proverb that says, like, you know, a person without self-control is like a city without walls. And so it's kind of like the people like can just come in and just rush through the city and kind of take and do all this stuff, and there's no boundaries. You know, like they can just rush in, take all they want, and it's just like there's no boundaries, there's no like kind of just protection. You know, because what is self-control? Protecting yourself. You know, like that's all it is.
So how did you see a lack of self-control in your life impact you this year, where it made you like that moment, that turning point where it was like, wow, I'm lacking self-control in this place and I need to change? And did you change, or is it just a moment of awareness?
I think self-control just in myself, you know, because like, again, we all want to do what we want to do. So self-control personally, and just like little things like, you know, that are just time burners, time wasters, those little tiny things that we always talk about. Like, again, we can be aware of it, but then like, you know, are you going to do something about it? And we have our times, and like, you know, we always try, but then how many times do we just kind of like,
of course,
fall short, just kind of mess up and just continue in that messing up. But I think this year, it's kind of got to a place where like I feel like God is just saying, hey, like you're above this. Like, you know, this is like enough is enough. Like, you know, this shouldn't really be an issue anymore.
Right. Like
maybe before you'd be like, now it's just like, you know, time to mature.
So it's as if like God had kind of put his foot down on you for a bit now.
I feel like it's just been like, because, you know, there's always grace, but then at the same time we speak about God kind of being like that coach for us. Where it's kind of like, hey, like, like, come on, you know, like, it's kind of like enough is enough, and enough of you wasting time, enough of you wasting your life, enough of you, all these things. Like, it's time to move forward and like go all into what I'm calling you to do. And so that is just like a big thing. And again, that's why I say like, a whole year's passed, right? The hope is that you can really look back and say, I've grown, and you can look back and say, I've learned. It's such a cliche, and I know we say it every year. People say it every year, and we will probably say it every year too. But it's facts. Like, if you can't look back and say you learned anything,
that's so scary.
Like,
that's
scary.
Part.
That's scary, because if that just means, what have you actually learned about yourself? What has God taught you?
Right.
What have you gone through that maybe wasn't what maybe you didn't have to go through it, but God turned it around to teach you something. Like, but you didn't, like, you know what I mean? And so that the scary part is when you go through a whole year and you look back and you don't see anything, and it's all the same. I think that's scary. And so that's why, like, just self-control in myself, and it's just so amazing, because God wants more for us, and God wants more for you, and God wants more for everyone. Yet, you know, and God is so patient and graceful with us that he takes his time with pushing us and guiding us as much as we are willing for it.
Okay.
Like, how willing are you to grow and change? Right? Like, it's way easier to do your own thing, but are you really willing and wanting to kind of become who God wants you to be? And that always requires sacrifice of something.
So what steps did you take personally to take action to the things that God was highlighting to you?
Yeah, I think I think it's always a battle because again, we always have those moments where we want to, we do the things that we stop. Okay, I'm gonna stop doing this, stop doing that, stop doing that, and we're good for a certain while.
Right.
But then those weak moments come in, and something comes in, and something crashes in our life, and so we get messed up mentally and emotionally. So we just want to go back to those things, and so I think it's just been like a battle, and I think I'm at the place right now where I'm more aware than I ever was because I fasted, and I think just while I fast, God really these are the things, you know what I mean? And so I feel like after the fast, like I was like, man, like why does my mind want to consume so much mental junk food? Like why?
Yeah.
Like why do I? And it's almost like why do I crave this? And I feel like I've grown an appetite for this mindless stuff that I have to kind of switch my appetite to now desire things that will challenge me mentally, that will give me knowledge, and do those things.
Yeah, it was like a week or two ago that me and you had a conversation about this, and it's like it drove us crazy because we asked ourselves, why are we so incapable of removing ourselves from the vacuum that is the world we live in right now? Right? So like we see so many men and women of God caught up with this appetite and of meaningless garbage that causes us to stunt our own growth.
Yep.
And so when we stunt our own growth, the enemy just loves to, first of all, encourage the stunt of growth. And then he uses that to shame you and say, yo, like, you suck. Like, you really have done nothing. And like, are you really capable of walking into what God has
Look at
for
that
you?
person. That person is way more better than you.
Yeah,
that's
and then
better
comparison
Christian.
comes in,
They're
and then
way more
comparison is the thief
surrendered.
of joy. Like the enemy has. That's one
Yeah.
thing that I've learned so well this year, and God will continue to work because that's just how God is. But I saw the strategies of the enemy in a different light this time.
Even the whole thing of if the enemy isn't attacking you, it doesn't mean that he went away. He could just be silent right now, And so, in recognizing that, like, you feel like maybe the enemy is like stop, but
Yeah.
a lot of times the enemy just stops for a bit, and then at the best moment he can,
Yeah, waits for you to put your guard
waits
down.
for you just to like mess up a bit, to hit you 10 times harder. And it's not even like, it's not even when he causes you to sin. It's always the aftermath that he wants you to just mess up even more, get down this rabbit hole, this pit of despair and unwanting. And so, that too, like recognizing how the enemy, when you recognize how the enemy wants to distract you, and he does things to distract you, and you recognize that's growth. That's valuable.
Yeah. And so for me this year, looking back, January was a year that was full of emotions for me. It was so emotion filled, and it was it was good and bad emotion, mostly bad emotions, but it was a lot of frustration and confusion and doubt, like, God, what are you doing right now? And I had moments of joy here and there, but it was mostly emotions that were just drowning me out. But I had responsibilities, but it was as if I was just moving with the flow. But what did God train me to do this year? One, he allowed me to level up in my self-control. I think this year was such a strong advocate for, let's get your life together. Like you said, enough is enough. And for me, this was like, I'm aware, but I'm not the type to be aware and do nothing. Like, I need to do something right away. And so, like I said before, God had started to highlight the strategies of the enemy in my life so profoundly that I was like, this is it. Like, I've got you. And now I know what I need to cut out. And so for me, I started cutting out social media, which, by the way, not social media in a completely different way. I started to use social media to my advantage. And so I think a lot of times people are like, yo, get off your phones. But if you manage to use the content that is out there to your advantage, bro, it's different. Because all of a sudden, instead of watching meaningless Netflix shows and these dumb YouTube videos, I started watching podcasts that were encouraging. Podcasts that were like, yo, let's get your life together. Like, this is what it means to be a man. This is what it means to have control over your finances. Like, do this for better editing tips. Like, all of a sudden, I was on this fire for learning.
Yeah.
Previous to this year, I had not read or purchased a book in years. When I say years, maybe like 4 or 5 years, like that I had not opened up a single book besides the Bible.
Yep.
This year, listen, you guys are gonna make fun of me because some of you guys are like book nerds and you have like.
What a nerd.
But I've only bought I bought 3 books this year, but I actually read them and took notes on them front to back.
That's
both,
fire.
all 3 of them. And I know some of you guys are like, I read 3 books a week. Like I get it. I'm learning. All right. Next year, I'm gonna do 3 books in a month, and maybe I'm gonna, go crazy. But I started having this hunger for learning and growth. And all of a sudden, my mind was so occupied with, yo, let's grow, let's get better, let's improve, that all of a sudden my emotions came to a steady level. And I'm so happy to say that God allowed me to have that self-control over my emotions, and it stopped leading my life. It was no longer, yo, I woke up sad, like I don't feel like doing stuff. It was like, yo, I'm hungry for learning. I want to grow. I want to do this. And all of a sudden, my aspirations for where I wanted to be outgrew and outshined the emotions that I was feeling in the moment.
Yeah.
And so I'm at this point, like, I started off at this peak level of emotions in the beginning of the year to now they're at a steady level where I can actually control them and they don't control me. And it's such a beautiful place to be. It's so awesome because it's like I'm not emotion driven anymore. And yes, there's days where I'm more upset than others and more angry or more happy. And yes, I use those days to my advantage, but they don't drive what I do that day. And so I think I've found an extra level of responsibility in my day that it's stopped me from ending up in a distracted place. Earlier this year, I'd wake up late and, it's fine. I was like, I went to bed late. I woke up late, whatever. I didn't think anything of it. Now I'm at a point where I feel like waking up past 8 a.m. is late for me because God has given me so much responsibility and so much work to do that it's like I do myself a disservice if I wake up this late. It's almost like disrespectful to myself and to the people that God wants me to reach. Like, this is the mentality that I've gotten to. And I look back at myself in January and it's totally different. It's totally different. I am incredibly grateful of where God is bringing me to, where the renewal of my mind has been throughout this year. It's been incredibly encouraging for me to just live this kind of lifestyle that He's brought me into compared to where I was back in January. This is the kind of growth that I was seeing this year.
Yeah.
And I want this to serve as an encouragement. Like, I realized how capable I really am that I never thought I was capable of. Before I was like, yo, like, I got ADHD. Like, I can only work for 2 hours max, then I need a break. Bro, I'm doing like 12, 13, 14-hour work days now. And I'm able to maintain a level of focus with God. I'm just beyond excited for 2024. Because with this new mindset coming into 2024, I feel like I'm going to be a powerhouse for the kingdom of God. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. And so me 2023, if I had to describe it in 3 words, I might say focused, blessed, and encouraged. Maybe those are like the top 3 that I might just say. Like,
that's nice. Damn.
It sounds nice, right? I mean,
the hell?
Bro,
That sounds mad nice. I'm
Yeah.
about to say like some discouraged, distracted, like some dark ones. But I mean, 3 words for 2023. I mean, I gotta say learning, learning or sharpening. One of those. Another 2 words for 2023. Definitely, I would say distracted. I think a lot of distractions. And then maybe just to go back to that point, I think a lot emotion led, you know, because, and that was one. I feel like there were like eras in 2023 that we had like one thing that was being focused on. Like there was like emotion, then there was comparison, then there was like,
Yep.
I don't know, manhood. Then you know, all the different things that kind of just came out of nowhere. But I feel like it's like the Holy Spirit. But definitely emotions is something that was a big thing this year. And like you said, like, you know, emotions, they're very real. We feel them. We can feel them hard. But something I always say is emotions are very fickle, meaning they're just very, they're very changing. They go up and down. They're like roller coasters. And so if, you know, I say it's in even a different way, way more realer way, that, you know, if we were to live in terms of how we felt all the time, we would really,
it'd be a disaster.
And it's like, we say that a lot, but how I say it is more of just like, if you really did that, like you don't want to do that.
No.
And I think being able to recognize your emotions, understand why you feel the way you feel about anything, that's really mature. And of course, like, it's not your emotions, it's what you do with them always. And so that's definitely one thing too. And something else too, when it comes to, so we have, you know, like self-control, emotions, keeping your emotions, like not letting your emotions lead you, right? Like you can control yourself. But then there's also like a different view on the flesh, because we always talk about the flesh, right? Like the flesh is like, we always say lust, or I don't know, anger, greed, you know, all it, but like when I feel like the reality of the flesh and what it wants, I feel like that really got put in my face. Because the flesh, like, you know, it's not just about lust. It can also be about laziness. The flesh wants laziness, right? The flesh wants, what else? The flesh wants whatever it wants. And it doesn't, it's not limited to just lust and anger and greed and whatever. Like
I saw this cool depiction. I heard about it, and it talked about these two demons, right? And so there was this man, and he was trying his best to live a purpose-filled life, and he was, you know, trying to dedicate his life to God and trying to sin as least as he can. And so this demon that was just following him, he was trying his absolute best to make him sin, and he was trying, and he couldn't do it. This guy just had a lot of strength. And so he goes up to this other demon, because this other demon had his guy, I guess, that he was assigned to, as like just sitting on the couch and doing his thing, and like he had him drinking and distracted and whatever. The demon said, "How did you do it so easily? I can't get my guy to sin." And the demon says, "All you got to do is make him lazy. That's all you have to do." Because when the flesh wins and it makes us lazy, we stay home, we don't do what we have to do, and then we feel bad. And then because we feel bad, we're just like, you know what, I'm just gonna sin
and go back to the pit.
I'm just gonna go back to the pit. And so easily we end up in a dark place. And that's why for me this year was so encouraging for that reason. For me, it was the shift between being so caught up in my mind and thinking about things that just weren't bringing me anywhere, to all of a sudden filling my mind up with ambition, with like, God, I want to go here with you. I want to do this with you. I want you to bless me in this way, and I want to do this, and I want to learn this. And all of a sudden, that's where my mind is thinking of. And the laziness just, dude, beginning of the year, first half of the year, I was taking a nap almost every day. I haven't taken a nap in months, maybe once, because I had a headache. But before that, I wasn't taking naps. And it wasn't like me forcefully going, I'm not going to take a nap and I'm going to start wetting my face with water so I wake up. I didn't even have to do that. I was just so driven that my mind was automatically awake. I was like, yo, I have so much work to do. I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I want to do this. And God, you know, I started doing Bible studies on my own. Like right now I'm doing a deep study with Abraham. Like I want to learn his descendants. Like who was Terah? You know, where was his native like land? Like I want to break down the Greek and the Hebrew. Like, this is where I'm at. This is where my head is at. Because if I didn't think this way, where would my mind be? Dang, I'm sad. Oh, I'm a little fat now. Oh, I'm lazy. Oh, I don't, my car is broken. Oh, my job kind of sucks. Oh, dude, if you do that, where are you going to be? All of a sudden, your emotions take over.
Yep.
When you let your mind take over, your emotions take over. But when your mind is on a drive, your emotions have no place. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, this is the kind of learning that I was doing this year. And listen, this wasn't all year. Like, I'm telling you, this was like towards the end. Like, this is the last few months that God has been doing this in me.
Yeah.
Because before that, I had a lot of roller coasters with God. I had a lot of roller coasters with God. I'll give you guys one example. There was a point in my life this year that I felt really down. I felt like I wasn't growing. I felt kind of in a stuck place. But what was weird is that I was receiving blessings from God in every angle. But why did I feel like I was stuck? I was looking at the numbers. I was looking at how much the podcast was growing, how much maybe money we were getting, how much money I was getting from my job. Like, it just felt kind of still as if like it had taken a dip, and the harder I tried, the worse it performed. And so I just asked God, like, is it that I'm not in love with you enough? Is it that I'm not reading my Bible enough? Am I not praying enough? Maybe I'm doing something wrong. And I would go on rabbit holes for hours of like, maybe I'm doing something wrong. And God taught me two things in this season of my life this year. The first was that my growth was not measured by my success in numbers. But little did I know that God was actually doing a deep, deep work inside me and my faith in him. And second, he was separating religion from relationship. For me this year, that was huge. That was huge because God taught me that I can approach his throne in the most authentic way possible. That he would rather me say, God, I am so mad. I don't understand. I want money. I want this. I want that. Instead of saying, God, you are so good. God, I love you. And this is frustrating. I know you're going to bring me places, so I'm just going to trust you. Yeah, the second one sounds the best. The second one sounds like, yo, this guy's got it down. But that's not actually how I was feeling. But the thing is, when I approached God with the truth and how I was actually feeling, it converted to that second sentence.
Wow.
Naturally. And so there was a moment in my life when I was like just complaining to God, I don't understand why it's not working. I don't understand why it's not working. And I got messages from two different people at two different times. And they said, Danny, I think your heart is no longer in the right position. And I was like, to me, it was like, yo, how could you say that? How dare you? How could you say that? And I took it personally, but later when I started analyzing like the last few weeks and how I was feeling, I did realize, yo, my heart is not in the right place. Because all of a sudden was, yo, how much growth can I get the podcast when initially the whole mission was, how many people can I bring to the feet of Christ? And to me, this was dangerous. This was like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
This is not the mindset that I can have. How can I lead God's people if this is the way I was thinking? And so all of a sudden I was like, yo, I need to change my heart. I need to change my heart posture. But even then, I somehow found a way to lie to God. Yeah, obviously he knew because he's God. But I found a way to basically try to convince myself that my heart was different. But because I wanted the outcome that I wanted. So in my head it was, yo, if I change the heart posture, then I'll get what I want.
So funny. So real though.
And so God once again had grace with me and peace with me, and he said, yo, my son, just because you tell me you changed your heart posture doesn't mean you actually did. Because the heart posture I want you at is no matter what I give you, you'll have faith in me and you'll trust me. To me, that was mind blown, like whole world shock. I was like, God, like, I'm sorry. Like, you're right. And I had to dig back into my roots of like, God, this is actually what you want for me. And I went into a deep prayer, fasting, worship sessions with God, and I just grew this fire for him again. And it actually shifted my heart posture.
Wow.
To the point where I didn't even worry about my heart posture. It just, God just naturally worked it out for me. Did I get the outcome that I wanted? I don't even know. I stopped looking at that. But I was like, yo, like, I really just want to go all in with God. Like, let me go back to my first love. To me, dude, oh my gosh, so many lessons that I learned this year. But it was, let's go back to that first love that we had with God. That first love.
Yeah.
Where nothing else mattered. We're just like, yo, I literally just want to live for God. Nothing else.
I just want to read the Bible. That's it.
Yeah.
I just want to read it.
Yeah.
It's so good. And even for those in ministry, like even when it comes to ministry, like the lesson of just, we talk about burnout a lot. And I know there was a time for me where I was kind of feeling like just need to take a break from things, because the importance of working out of the overflow, right? Which is something I definitely learned this year also, of like, we can't get so caught up and focused on the ministries that we forget about him, right?
It's true.
And I remember I think there was a Sunday, and I was sitting in the service, and I feel like God told me, he was like, if you didn't have to be here for youth, would you be here? And I was like, whoa, because, and again, for those in ministry, how many times do we stay at the church like all day? I feel like we've desensitized one service. That if like going to like I'm speaking for myself, but I think I speak for a lot of people too. If you are in ministry and for you just to go to one service and then leave after, like that's such a crazy thought. Cause like, wait, what? No, I gotta stay. It's like, and we kind of just forget like, yo, how was a service for me when I was just coming to receive? How did that feel when I came in and then enjoyed the worship and listened to the pastor and then go get prayer and just like be there, just blessed, like, then why even be here? And it just made me remember, like, dang, like, I can't be there. The only reason I'm going is because I have to get this stuff. I have to be there. I have to teach. I have to do this. I have to, I'm that person. I have to do it. It's like, no. And I feel like that's such a big thing too, that I'm still trying to really overcome it, to just like, okay, yes, the ministries are important, but what really is the most important? And it's just me and God.
Wow.
Because if I lose that, I lose everything.
Wow.
Right? Like how, and even to the point that like I have to watch myself. And I remember, I think a few other people that I've heard this from, like other pastors have like shared this, but they have the same mindset that they go to the Bible just so that they will be good for the ministry. And then it's like, no, I don't even want that. And when I go, I want to just go because I want to. Not because I want to be good for something.
Wow.
Like, let me do this. So I can, it's like,
it's very true.
And again, this is mainly for people that are in ministry that can really understand this. But I would say that too, like you don't have to go through burnout or something, as long as you stay close to God,
right?
And keep your eyes on him in whatever ministry he has you in, and make sure that you're being filled so that you can pour out. Follow that. Because you don't want it to be where you're begin to like, maybe idolize or put the ministry first instead of him.
Wow.
Because if you're not putting him first, then things just get kind of imbalanced. And so that's definitely a big lesson that I've learned, that I'm very happy I learned about. Because I, even hearing sayings like, be the preacher that walks with a limp. And what does that mean, right? And it's that your preaching leg should be way smaller than your devotion leg. Right? That I should not be speaking more or preaching more than I am actually living things out.
Wow.
And even one of our pastors was preaching, and then we were talking about how good it was. And that one of my friends, or Nico, he was saying how like he saw, while our pastor was preaching, he saw, or he could imagine the nights of just him praying on the floor and just kind of feeling that power while he preached. to the point that he even thought about that. And so, and it's just it's so amazing. And it makes so much sense, but we don't recognize it until we kind of get to that place where we're like, what? Wait, I feel like, but it's so good. And so that's just like a reminder, and also like hey, make sure to keep this in check for those who are in ministry, because it's just such a good thing. Like, of course he's first. Of course he is first. Of course he is. So that was also really.
But it's so easy to get caught up in the life that we're living.
And something else too, where like this is from the episode of the Exodus, where it's like the human nature to just forget. And it's like it seems very simple,
right?
But when you think about it, right? All I'll say is Israelites in the wilderness, the human nature to forget that God does so much for us, all this stuff, yet we're just like if we don't stay focused and devoted and like, to be with him, we're gonna forget. Like, we forget. Why did God command festivals and things like that? So that we can remember. Why did he, tell us everybody to do what's it called? The blood on the thing. I forgot, Passover. Like, why did he command Passover, like the celebration, to remember? Because if not, we're gonna forget.
Wow.
Why, after they crossed the Red Sea or the Jordan River with Joshua, and like God says, hey, get the stone, get like rocks from the middle of the river, and then bring it over there. And so when your kids ask, what is this? And say, this is when God brought us through the Jordan River. And it's like, why? Because so you don't forget. And so the whole human nature of like, we forget what God has done, and we just forget. And if we don't remind ourselves, that's why we always preach about like, stay filled, stay connected to the source. Because if not, you'll just be less aware of the source, and you'll start forgetting. Because that's just how the human nature is. That's why like, and that's a good, just a new perspective on the same thing of just staying connected to the source always. There's just so much cool things, man. So much things that you just learn. It's like, it's just cool. It's like, dang, man, like facts. It's so facts. Like, how did I not know this? But it's awesome. And even the things that really suck. Because I know for a fact there's people that, of
course,
this past year, it sucked. Like, hard things,
100%.
Hard emotions, hard situations that really hurt you, whatever the case may be. It's so real. We preach Romans 8:28, but when you see Romans 8:28, that's different. When you see what God is showing you, when you see things about yourself, like just through any hard situation that you might go through, you gotta ask the question of God, like, what are you trying to teach me? Or like, what should I always have a mindset to recognize. And so when you have that mindset to recognize and learn, it's amazing. And I guess it might get you so crazy that you're like, yo, God, bring me through harder things. But then you're like, in the midst of it,
like,
no. But then after, you're like, yes, bring me through harder things. No, but that too. And we spoke about that before a lot. We speak about that a lot because it's so true. But again, I feel like a lot of things is kind of just walking through it. It's like, you can always talk about things,
right?
But when you live through things, it is very different, and it is very cool. It's very beautiful because you're just like, wow, like this is what you mean. And he really does like use everything.
Wow.
To show you.
Very true.
To show
very
you.
True.
And so if you didn't have that perspective, have that perspective. Romans 8:28. Like, just have that and think about these things, because don't go through something and then not learn anything from it. That's the last thing you want to do, is to go through something really hard and sucky and not see what God might be trying to teach you or show you or let you see. Yeah, don't do that. Be aware. Look back.
And don't rush the lesson either, because so many times we stick to the fact like, yo, let me figure out what God is trying to teach me. And sometimes it takes months, even years for you to look back and be like, wow, that's what he was trying to teach me.
And that's the thing. In those moments, like, what can you really do except be like, okay, God, I trust you.
Yep.
Like, what can you do besides that? You can't do anything.
Yeah.
And that's why it says, like, rejoice when hard times come, because then, it produces endurance and then perseverance and then character. And then it's like what really can you do when you're in hard moments except go through them and just say, God, I know you're above this. I know you're good. I can trust in you. I know you got me. So I'm just going to walk in hope.
Walk in hope.
Because that's the main thing. Like, we go through hard things. It sucks. We get hopeless. Or we go through hard things. It sucks, but we choose to have hope. And so what path are you going to choose? Because one path will allow you to still function. Like, it won't kind of like keep you in the pit. You don't want to be in the pit. No. The pit might be comfortable, maybe, but you don't want to be there. It sucks. And so in those moments, like when it's hard, I think me and Danny can definitely relate. When it's hard, what can you do besides just focus on him and just be with him and trust in him and just hope, because that's all you can. And then as time passes, whenever he wants to, boom, look back. Yeah. And then it's just like, just going through life. Just like, then life is, and then you just see how life is.
As you live life.
As you live life, you see how life is, right? It's like, it sounds kind of dumb, but it's just,
it's true.
Things just, I don't know. It's very,
true.
Very weird.
Yeah.
I think the main thing I've said this year is, your life is weird, man. I think I've said that phrase a lot. I think I said it a lot, because life can be weird. Just like, what? Like, what? What the heck is like, but Yeah. I think for me this year was, regarding my relationship with God, this year was very interesting, because usually I feel like myself and God are in this buddy-buddy relationship where it's like he's telling me exactly where he wants me to go and exactly what he wants me to do. But this year, it's as if God just went, do it. For a for extended period of time. And so for the first time in my life, I wasn't desperate for, God, what do I do next? God, what do I do next? God, what do I do next? But it was as if like God already told me what I needed to do. Now I just walk with him. And so for me, it was like, it was really interesting to see this new dynamic of my relationship with God. And so it was kind of like learning to adapt of this like difference where I'm not hearing God's voice 24/7 like I used to, but not in a bad way. Initially I took it that way. It was like, yo, God, why are you not talking to me? Why are you not like answering my prayers? Why are you not speaking to me through other people? Why are you not? And it grew frustrating because it was like, God's not listening to me. God just let me go by myself, and like he's just hoping that I get it done. But then I realized, what if this was God's way of growing me in incredible ways? Where it wasn't like, it was still a dependency on God, but it wasn't relying on him to take every step for me, but instead to take every step with me. And so all of a sudden, it wasn't like me waiting on God to do everything for me, but it was like, yo, God, you've empowered me to take these steps, and I know you're with me along the whole time. And when I started viewing it that way, I think God was like, yo, I think you learned your lesson. And then I just started hearing his voice more. Wow.
But it showed me this new way of working with God, working alongside God, that expanded and renewed my mind in different ways of what my relationship with God could be capable of.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And
yeah.
It's just, and I think you have to, I don't know, I think you have to, I think we said this before, love your walk, right? Like just
love your walk. Yeah.
You, wherever you're at, like, again, comparison is a thief of joy. We said it before, we're going to say it forever, like, because it's facts.
It is.
Like, you and God, that's you and God. Ain't nobody can really like, be there. It's you and him. Yeah. And then it's me and God. And then it's Danny and God. And so these are all different. Yeah. Right? Therefore, like, just walk with him wherever he has you, and do your best in whatever he has you doing. And then when you live like that, like what I think in Ecclesiastes it says, like, you know, I find it the best thing for people to do is to accept their lot in life and then boom boom and like do things, right? Just accept that, you know, whatever family God gave you your family. You know, if wherever you are, however you are, like, you know, God has placed you in a certain place. Wherever you are right now, like, God has placed you there for a purpose, right? To that whatever sphere of influence you have, God has placed you there for a reason, to be a voice there, for whatever his purpose is for you. And so what more to do besides staying focused on him and accomplishing the purpose he has for you? Because that's where life is. Right. That's where life is. It always will be there. Life will always be there. And then when we always, even like me and Dan, even our own private conversations, like when you have God in the middle, like he just blesses everything else. Right. Everything else just gets blessed because he's in the middle. He's first. And when we live like that, truly, and I think we just, as we grow, we learn how to be more surrendered. I think that's it. You know, that even through this year, I learned how I can be more surrendered to him, and I will continue to learn that. Right. And we will all continue. So it's kind of like, how can, like, what has this year taught you about how to be more surrendered to God? I think that's the question to ask. Like, in this past year, and what you've learned, what you've done, what you've like how in this moment, from how you lived and what you're reflecting on, how can you be more surrendered to him? Because that's
what an excellent question.
When you ask that question and think about it and do that, like, it's the best for you. It's the best. Right. It's the best. And he will bring you through things. He will walk with you. He will teach you. He will show you. He will open your eyes. Like, and that's the beauty. And there's beauty in all of it.
And so my question to you is, what do you want to see for yourself in 2024?
Freakazoid Jr.
Yep. Yep. Go ahead, bro. That's all you.
What do I want to see for myself? Ooh, let's talk about a questione. In 2024, after going through all this cruz, man.
What do you want to see for yourself?
I really want to see Lewis at his full potential. There's this guy, his name is Chris Hodges, and I went to a conference when he was teaching. This man is a chancellor for a college. He's a pastor. He's leading a ministry to teach other churches how to become better churches. He writes books. He does a lot of things. And I don't know why, but I see that man, and when I saw him and hearing him and seeing how he is, like, I genuinely was like, I want to be like that. And I never say that about a person. Like, I don't think I've genuinely been like, wow, that person, I want to be like him. But seeing that man speak and what he said and how he'd say and how he would, like, he said that he paid people just to be in a room and explain what church is like, people that are unchurched or in church. He just paid them to, like, hey, what do you guys think church should be doing? And it's like, oh, church should help you find your purpose, make a difference, all this different stuff. And he just, like, and when he speaks, I mean, he talks about explaining Old Testament things and explaining in a certain way, and that kind of built onto it's just, everything was very amazing and very wow. I mean, low key, like, being like him, man. Like, in terms of, like, even him explaining his week, that in the beginning of the week, he has his whole week prepared, like, whole week planned out. That he has things like a monthly scheduled things, like, and then he talks about how, in like, kind of like when he was talking about his sermons that he would get ready for, like, how does he get ready for his sermons? And then, like, he would say that, when he reads the Bible every single day in his own quiet time, he's getting ingredients throughout the week. And then on Saturday, he's kind of like getting them ready to, like, or it's Friday, he's like getting ready to cook them, and then on Saturday he really like makes it all together, and Sunday he prepares it and gives it out. And I was like, bro, come on, man. And then I don't know, like just being like that man is in that position for a reason.
Yep.
For a reason, and he got there, and it wasn't easy.
Definitely not.
And so,
definitely not.
just man, 2024, I need, and there will be, and it must be a Lewis that is at his full potential, full joy, full focus. Because I see the way the enemy has tried to, and the enemy has distracted me. I've seen his plans. And so coming into this new year, aware of that, enough is enough.
Wow.
And so, man, full potential, full 1,000% potential in everything.
And how do you plan on getting there? How do you plan on getting there? Tell us the secret.
The secret to getting there, I think, as I've heard many times to my face and to myself, just doing it.
Just doing it.
I mean, talk is cheap, right? It's really about doing it. Just doing it. Whatever it is I need to do, just doing it. And then, again, I'm at this point where it's like, I gotta do it. I have to. And so, the secret formula, Krusty Krab secret formula, I think, is whatever you have to do, you have to do it. If you want to be where you need to be at.
Okay. So that's the Lewis secret. That's the Lewis secret.
Yeah. I don't know if you have a secret formula.
Us and the family will be praying for you so that you get to where you want to be for 2024. For me, I want this drive that I have currently to continue to evolve into 2024 and just continue to grow and work hard and I guess the same thing as you, like just continue to grow into the potential that God has for me. I also want to see myself be more of a man of God, a man of dedication, a man of punctuality, a man of hard work, a man that provides and protects. Like I want to learn to live and grow into the man of God that he wants me to be. So, like some of these men in the Bible that were just incredible men of God. That's who I'm trying and striving to be. I want to see my faith in God grow to an incredible way. I want to see my evangelism skills be sharpened and actually put to work. I feel like maybe I've gotten accustomed to talking to the camera and yes, I've gotten good at it, but I think God also wants me to speak in person to people.
Of course.
And to just grow in that and sharpen in that for 2024. But I'm beyond excited for what's to come. I'm super thankful. And I know even though it may have been a hard year for both of us, it was also a year full of blessings, a year of protection, a year of doors that were closed, but doors that were open at the same time. And so we are incredibly grateful for you guys and for God and everything that he's brought us through. And we're beyond excited for 2024. We can't wait. And so we hope you guys found this episode super encouraging. We hope you guys also had a fantastic year. We would love to see you join us back for 2024. We hope you guys have an amazing Christmas and New Year's. And whenever you're watching this, maybe it's like mid-July and you're watching this. So what's up if it's mid-July? Like, leave a comment and say, yo, I'm watching this in July. But we love you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for an amazing year. We cannot thank you enough.
Yeah.
Check out the Patreon. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that beautiful stuff. We love you, and we'll see you guys next year. Sounds weird, but see you guys next year.
Peace
out.